friends, so it's finally time to take a tour of my houseplants. I know this has been a super long time coming. It was pretty hard to find time to have the house clean, the plants looking good, you know, vacuum all the dirt off of the trays and everything. Like cut the brown leaves off so you guys think that like I don't screw up my plants all the time like I do. But I finally got it all done, so without further ado, let's go meet the plants. Alright, so we're going to kick it off in the bathroom. Just a warning, my bathroom walls are very paint chippy and gross. When I moved here, I did not intend to stay for very long. In 5, almost 6 years later, that clearly didn't happen. So I've always said that every time I paint an apartment, I get kicked out of it because the building gets sold or whatever. I've never been evicted, but like they tell you basically, we sold this place and you have to leave. So I haven't painted my apartment because I'm afraid to jinx myself, but I'm getting really, really close. Anyway, you don't care. So here's my African mask plant, which is semi-sad. I put it in the bathroom hoping that the humidity in here that was good enough to crack all the paint might be okay enough for this plant, but I don't think it was. So I've moved a humidifier in since, and I'm trying to have that running as much as possible. So right now I'm just waiting for us to get a part to open up my water filter for my sink, and then I can run the humidifier all the time. And I'm hoping that that will make this a little less sad. I mean, I kind of knew this was going to happen. This is a little bit of a tricky plant, but as you can see, I don't learn lessons well. So here is my Calathea, and this is a Calathea Freddy, Calathea. Whoops. So I've had this guy for a little while. I got it from Josh's Frogs. It was part of the foliage bundle, I think, that I got. I will link my unboxing in the eye up here if you want to check that out. So it started off pretty small. It's put out 2 leaves since I got it at the beginning of the winter. It's never looked particularly sad. It's only ever had this one kind of sad leaf here, but that's how it came, so I wasn't too worried about that. So far so good with this guy. It's growing pretty slow. I expect it might grow a little faster in the summer when the humidity gets better. But right now it's kind of been fine. So I'm hoping that lasts. Here is my new rubber tree. I just got this guy. So the leaves are nice and shiny because I did Harli G's suggestion to do the half lemon juice and half water cleaning solution for the hard water spots that were like all over this guy. These plants get hit with those pretty hard. No pun intended. So here's one of the new shiny leaves it just put out. I'm really psyched about this guy. It needs to be repotted. It's got some roots coming out of the bottom already. I got it from a grocery store a couple weeks ago. And here's one of my air plants. As you can see, it's also gotten a little crispy at the tips. That's my fault completely. I slipped off my bathing my air plant schedule for literally like 1 week, and this is what happened. So it's going to get a nice soak today. Everything that you're going to see in this video pretty much needs to be watered. So today's my walk around and water day. So this is just a shell from the local beach. I like to just keep little stones and pretty things with my plants because I think it's pretty. And you know, what fucking white girl doesn't have a whole shitload of these crystals just laying around her house, right? Oh, here is my Aetherium. I just got this, and when I got it, it had a couple more big leaves. This was the newest leaf that it had put out, and those older leaves started to brown a bit. You can see that one here too. So I just clipped those leaves off. I'm not sure if I was supposed to do that, but they were very clearly dying. And I also cut off a couple of tired out blooms, and since I did that, the rest of them shot up and are looking stunning. I don't know if this is supposed to look this way. I don't know if it's like deformed. Maybe one of you guys can let me know. But this is the newest bloom that it put out, so it's still kind of forming, but it's so red and gorgeous. This is a very sunny southwest facing window. So even though it faces a good direction, there's not a ton of light very far back. So I have, you know, the more sun-loving guys over here. And right here we have one of a few little boat lily babies that I have laying around the house. I had a bigger one that I got probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago now, and I broke it up last summer, I believe. So there's a few of these around the house. I've also given some away. This one had gotten knocked over by cats about 5 times, so it's really small and it's just starting to like recover from all of the abuse. I love this pot too. I think I got it with a succulent arrangement that has since gone to the big plant shelf in the sky. Here we are. So you can see my apparently made in Italy pot and my Pothos. So I got this guy probably at the beginning of the winter. I used to have a Pothos that wrapped almost all the way around my living room, and I lost it years back to mealy bugs. I thought at the time it was powdery mildew, but since learning more about plants and pests, I now understand why I couldn't get rid of it, treating it for powdery mildew, because that's not what it was. So I was really devastated. It was the first plant that I ever got when I moved out on my own from my parents' house. My mom always had plants. Her mom always had plants. We are generations of plant ladies. So I, thought I got my first apartment, I better go get a Pothos. So I let it grow, and it was kind of like my visual, symbol of adulthood. I had moved out, I had my own plant. And I was just crushed when it died. So I went and got a new one at the beginning of the winter after finally talking myself into it. I was literally so devastated, I just never even got another one. So it's been in this window here, and I think it's happy. It didn't grow at all over the winter, unlike a lot of my other plants, and it just started shooting this out a couple of weeks ago. I still might move it. I think it's going to get slammed in light come summertime. So over here is one of my string of hearts plants. You can see it's grown quite a bit since I got it. It's doing pretty well. It was getting a little baldish on the top, so I picked up a strand and I sort of spiraled it in there and pushed the root balls into the dirt. I still need to go in and kind of pin some of them down and then give this a good water to make sure that they take, but I just wanted to make sure it didn't get too bald on the top. But it's such a beautiful plant. This is one of my favorite plants. And it can kind of take a beating too, because I feel like sometimes, I would touch it to see if it needed to be watered and it would be so floppy and it'd be like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry. And then it just bounces right back up. So this right here, this little guy is a night blooming Sirius cactus. And my friend sent me 4 cuttings, and unfortunately 3 of them were pretty far gone when I got them, so they didn't take, but this one took almost immediately. I couldn't believe how fast it rooted. It's actually super impressive. I was not much of a cactus person initially, but I am now. I think they're really cool. I actually think this guy needs a drink too. Look how sad it is. Oh, for the love. For a cactus, it does seem to need water a little more than I expected it to. But it just started shooting these guys out a few months ago, so it's just growing slow, but it's growing. This is one of my Coleus plants. I had a big one in this pot right here, and I think that the sun and some neglect kind of took it out. So the root ball looked like it was dying, and then some of the vines were still living, so I ended up cutting off the living vines and then making them into a whole bunch of cuttings and plants. So here is one of them. This is just a little guy. I'll probably end up giving this away eventually. But I had rooted a bunch of cuttings just for friends. I tried to pretty up this ugly pot by gluing this on, and then it just kind of fell down. So coming down a shelf here, this is a recent plant acquisition. This is a Fittonia, or nerve plant. I got it at Home Depot, and it got just a hair crispy there because I left it in too much sun. So I've actually kind of moved it over on the shelf, and it gets just a bit of like shade here, so the direct sun doesn't hit it quite as much. It really needs to be repotted. The mix that it's in is like, it's just like soppy mud. It's disgusting. I haven't even watered it since I got it. It's still damp, so I need to get it out of here and put it into a nicer pot. So if you have a suggestion on clay or plastic for these, I would accept that. And know that I'm sort of an overwaterer. Down here, a plant I cannot believe I have kept alive. I honestly thought that I was buying this as a sacrifice, as a lab project of sorts, just to solidify that I could not have ferns without killing them. But besides this one little crispy guy here, right there, this plant has remained lush and beautiful and is putting out some new growth. And yeah, it's doing really good considering. I'm sure it could be doing a little better, but right now it's doing pretty good. It's still in the medium for the most part that it came in. So I do need to repot this. I kind of want to mount it. I didn't even say what it was. It's not a staghorn fern. I know that it looks like it is, but it's actually a different cultivar that stays smaller and more compact than the staghorn fern does. And I'm sure you've noticed by now, but I'm going to put all the scientific names on the bottom. This is another newer plant acquisition. This is my bird's nest fern. I got this at Home Depot. It surprisingly came without any bugs on it, knock on wood. And so far, it's doing pretty good. It was in one of those stupid self-watering pots, so I've kind of been anxiously doting over that. But I'm going to repot it eventually. And unfortunately, when I was cleaning leaves, look what I did to its new leaf. Oh, I feel so bad. But I took the hard water spots off of this too, and that actually worked really good. So it's doing okay. Its tips are a little, they're getting a little, winter cannot end fast enough for me because the humidity battle is so real, you guys. It's not impossible. I just need to invest in a better humidifier and sort of work on my home conditions, but I'm trying. None of these are dead. I've had them for a while. You know what I'm saying? At least that one. I mean, it's not dead yet. We're doing okay. So, brief stop into my son's somewhat messy room and the best window in the house, which of course is wasted on my son's messy room. So here is my Fiddly Fig. If you have followed me on Instagram or whatever for a while, I don't have like a public account yet. I'm thinking about making one, so if that's something you would follow, let me know. But I rescued this guy from Stop & Shop a while back, and it was probably about here, so like there up is all newer growth. And I think it's 2 trees down here. I think originally it was actually more than that, and these other stalks sort of died off. Sometimes they'll put out a baby leaf, but I don't know what's going on under there. But it has grown amazingly since I figured out how to take care of it. It's pretty healthy. I think that it's doing great. I mean, I see a lot of these on Reddit, on the houseplants subreddit, and on the What's Wrong with My Plants subreddit, and it seems like people have a lot of trouble with these, so I'm pretty happy that this one is doing as good as it has. When I got it, it was severely dehydrated, like you could stick an entire finger between the pot and the soil that it was in, and it was like, it was just so hurting. It looked like it had been drowned for months because it showed signs of overwatering on the leaves. You can tell when you get red spots, if you've overwatered, they'll be all along the spines or the veins of the leaf. And if you've underwatered, it will be more around the edges here. So I could tell it had been overwatered at some point, and then severely underwatered. So it came with fungus gnats, and it came with, I think, spider mites. I treated it for probably every 2 weeks or about, 3 months or so. Just periodically checking on it and then getting paranoid if I saw anything that looked like a web. And, so I've really babied it. And it seems to really like my son's window, which is kind of a problem because he doesn't want it in here forever and I don't want it to be unhappy. So we are at an impasse. So quick peek at my kitchen window right now. This room is a work in progress. This is going to become a more active plant space because this is facing roughly the same direction as my bathroom window. I do have this stupid tree here that sort of obstructs some of my light, but for the most, it's not I'm sorry. You're a beautiful tree, but you're fucking killing me. So I try to keep my succulents and things out here because this room really takes a sun beating, especially during the summer, where if you come and look over here, there's like this flat panel along my cabinet that is it's just screaming for herbs to just be hung down this thing to take the brunt of the sunlight and then provide me with things to cook with. So that's my plan. right now, all I have here are some grocery store green onions that I put in water for a few days and then stuck in dirt, and they've been giving me green onions all winter, so that worked out pretty good. So this was a thrift score from the other day, which I think I might do a thrift haul video, so you may or may not have already seen this, but it's supposed to be a candle holder, and my plan is to attach it here and then have some herbs that like a lot of sun right here. So right here is another Coleus clipping. You can see how purple this plant usually is. I am trying to figure out why the internet says that more sun equals more purple, but in my experience, more sun is equaling more green. So, what's up with that? So currently hanging up here, and I think getting too much sun, is one of my aloes. I had another one of the plants my friend gave me, along with the big snake plant, was a gigantic aloe, and I loved that plant. It was huge and it had tons of pups, and it was in a big old floor pot, and I kept it on my floor for years without anything happening to it. And then when we moved to this apartment, I put it on the floor here, and my cat spent a week peeing in it, murdering it with his urine. So by the time I figured out why I was smelling cat pee, my plant was pretty screwed. The mother plant was dying, but the pups looked okay, so I pulled them all out. So you will see those all over my house. I've given a bunch away. It's the plant that literally keeps on giving. But for some reason, some of the pups are doing amazing, and then others are not doing so great. And I feel like I'm kind of treating them the same way, so a little confusing. But this guy did fall over a few times, and I think that's why it's a little sad. But you can see that it's getting some like too much sun signs over here. And I know it looks dehydrated, but I swear to God it's not. Because like this stuff is fine right here. All of this up here is like good and nice and taut. But I think some of these lower parts are they just need to be moved. But so this isn't going to stay there forever. I need to figure out the honey spot. I need to figure out the sweet spot for these plants in my house, because look, that's from too much sun right there. So yeah, so I turned it over here so that it can get away from the sun a little bit until I figure out what on earth I'm gonna do with you. So here we have a couple more succulent kind of plants that I neglected a bit for a while. They started to look sad, and I sort of just gave up on them while I was living my tropical foliage dreams, and now I've kind of become recharmed with this plant. So I've been taking really good care of it the last couple of months, and it's starting to perk back up and put out new leaves. And like, look at how cute. Focus. Focus. There we go. So look, so cute. So that guy is doing a little bit better. This poor thing, like, I've had it for so long. I've probably had this for about 5 years. And it just tends to like fall apart every time I touch it, just a little bit too much. I did let it get dehydrated. You can see here over the winter. I was thinking about actually giving this plant away because it just looked so silly with all of these bald ass vines on them. So I may end up cutting it back. You can see the new growth all coming in and stuff. I don't know. I might just leave it. I might just let it live its bald ass life. You know what I'm saying? Look at that unsightly price tag. I really need to get that out of that pot. The stove, I have Spiky Boy. Spiky Boy is some kind of weird ass aloe that my boyfriend picked out. And he fell over at some point. And he looks like this. And he's looked like that for about 6 months. And he hasn't died. It's just continued to look like that. And the inside continues to grow and be very happy. Well, the bottom looks like crapola. I don't know if I should like top it and try to like do something like that. Maybe you guys could give me some advice. I'm not a succulent person, and I honestly don't have a lot of attachment to this plant, so I don't really feel compelled to do anything about it, I guess. This is sort of a room of neglected plants. So if you're still watching at this point, you're probably like, wow, this lady just gets plants she can't take care of and kills them all. But as you can see, that's not true. It's not true, guys. I'm good at plants. I swear, just not all of them. We're learning. So I'm going to try to go through these shelves a little quick, just so this video isn't 9,000 years long. But here's where I keep a lot of my Peperomias. and a few other like smaller plants, baby plants, cuttings, things like that. So we've got this cute little Peperomia right here, and you can see that the abaxial side, the bottom side of the leaves are red, and like how cool is this inflorescence? They have like these spicate flowers, and if you have a Peperomia and it hasn't put out one of these yet, don't be surprised if it does, because I didn't even know some of my Peperomias would do that, and then they did. This pot was painted by my friend Julie for the favors at my friends James and Megan's wedding. So I have a few of these little painted pots around. And this just has some little succulent babies in it. You can see the 2 leaves that have been desiccated just from feeding the little babies there. So those are almost done, you know, providing nutrition for the babies. And then I've got this other little guy that I topped off of another etoliated succulent. So they've just been living their best life in here for a little while now. And they usually get a good deal of light from my grow light. So they seem pretty happy. I'll just let them get older and then they probably won't be happy anymore. I'm not good at succulents. Here's my high-tech draft control system. Yep. We're fine living over here, folks. So here is one of my trailing Peperomias. I have the variegated version and the green version. I got both of these from Josh's Frogs from their vining plant bundles, and they're doing pretty good. They came with a few like little brown spots here and there that I wasn't sure if that was going to be like a bacterial issue. I'm still not even really sure, but so far it seems okay. It does look like it needs a little bit of water. I actually just cut this back quite a bit. I accidentally cut off one of these spicate flowers. It was the first one this one had ever put out, so I was pretty bummed about that. But I did cut it back to take some cuttings and sort of try to fill this pot out a little bit more. I did love getting those little plant bundles from Josh's Frogs, but then the issue becomes that you have like these little singular, you know, stalks of a plant when you really want like a bushier plant. So I've been trying to work on that. This is an honest-to-God Christmas cactus. I am pretty darn sure I ordered this as a cutting from a very old heirloom Christmas cactus plant from Greenthummum on Etsy. I'll try to leave a link below for her if I forget for some reason. I know I have in other videos, or you can just remind me in the comments, but I should remember. So this guy has been growing pretty good. So this got a little damaged, this one stalk, and I ended up just popping the damaged leaf off, and it's already replaced it with 2 more. So I'm excited to watch some of my baby holiday cactuses grow. As you see, you'll find out I have quite a bit of them. So this right here is a Peperomia Hope. It's a trailing Peperomia. It's been growing and growing and growing all winter long. This guy right here had a long vine too, but it broke off one day. So now it's just, you know, starting to recoup a little bit. I don't know what to do with this plant. It just kind of keeps going. So that's what it does. Back here, you'll see I have your traditional green Oxalis plant, your shamrock plant. It's a little droopy today because there's not a lot of sun out, but yesterday it was crazy blooming all over the place. I just got it. When I'm filming this, it's March, so then St. Patrick's Day plants are all over the place, so you can get these pretty cheap. I think you can see. Oh no, wait, that's my Savers pot price tag. Yeah, I got this pot yesterday at Savers for $2. It's just a cash pot. But I think I got this for $3 at the grocery store. So here's more of my green trailing Peperomia. I just have this little piece of twine here so that they have something to kind of grow up and hang on to. And these, I think I'll actually end up getting too much light from this window come summertime, so I'm probably going to move them to maybe trail off the side over here just so they have a little bit of relief from the sun. Here is a little spider plant baby. You'll see its mamas later. This baby was not doing well or taking well initially, and then I moved it over here and it's much happier. I think the grow light over here is giving it life. Here is a Creeping Charlie cutting off of this big old Creeping Charlie plant. This is from the mint family. It's a Pylea Creeping Charlie, and you can see it does look a lot like mint, and it grows like mint. Let me tell you, I have cut this thing back twice since I got it. It grows like gangbusters. This thing is crazy. So I've started making a little baby plant for a friend who's just getting into plants. So quite a few of my little propagations, let's see if I can get that to focus, quite a few of my little propagations are going to go to him and his fiance. So you can see up here on the top, there's sort of an etoliated boat lily up here. This guy, for some reason, just despite being in the same spot as much happier versions of this plant, has just insisted on being leggy and weird, but you know, it's fine, girl, we don't judge you. You grow how you need to grow. And I'll try to get this to focus. Sorry about the background light. Here are my two happier aloes. I know those two leaves don't look super happy, but the middle's all very happy. They both need a terracotta pot. I think that's really going to help with overall happiness for my aloes, because that's what I had them in before. But those are the two happier cuttings that I won't give away. Those are my cuttings. And then this one right here is a baby cutting that got absolutely nuked in the sun. So the center is growing, so that one's probably going to be ugly for a little while before it looks better. And if you notice this little flypaper up here, ooh, attractive, right? I almost never see fungus gnats in my life in this apartment. I very, very rarely see them. But if they exist, they fly onto that card. So I don't think I have them, but then I put the card up and there's bugs on them. So those things are very, very cool. So that's just the top two shelves there. And if you're wondering about this bulb and stuff, this is a CFL bulb, and the grow light in it is a Sunblaster bulb. It is full spectrum and it's a white light, as you can see, not that ugly pink and blue light. I do have that too, but I like these lights a lot. These have put out a ton of growth, and you'll see how happy it's made my Monstera shortly. So I'll put a link to that down below too if you guys are looking, if you're in the market for something like that. So here we have another one of my air plants. It is in a temporarily boring little terrarium that I'm going to decorate pretty soon. I'm going to try to film it, no promises. I always plan to film all of my planty things, and then a lot of times it's like I'm lacking motivation. So like I know if I make a filming thing out of it, I'll never do it. So right here you can see more of those little spicate flowers from another Peperomia. I love Peperomias. This is my Peperomia Silver Ripple. I got this from the plant farm on Etsy, and it has been a very healthy and awesome grower for me since I got it. I actually propagated it. I propagated it here. You can see from the two leaves. If I were to do it again, I would cut well, I did do it again. But if you're watching this and you want to do this, cut closer to the actual leaf here, because these baby plants actually pop out at the bottom of wherever you cut this. So if it's closer to the mother leaf, it just looks a little less silly when you actually go to plant it, and it gives you like less stem to have to deal with the rot. Just a little tip. But look at how cute. Aren't they cute? Love them. So this little baby chain of hearts, that is a beautiful variegated chain of hearts. Like, look at these. Ugh, I love it. I love it. I think I'm going to end up with an all-white leaf pretty soon. But that baby actually hitched a ride attached to my green chain of hearts that I showed you in the bathroom. I thought that maybe it just had one variegated strand or something, which I thought was kind of bizarre, but I was new to the plant, so I was like, maybe that's what happened. And one day I noticed it was not seeming to take up water, so I kind of picked it up and noticed it wasn't even attached to the plant. So I think that they had a variegated plant next to the green ones, and this one just hitched a ride. It got snapped off with the other green plant. So if you look right here, you can see these look almost entirely green. Something that I think a lot of people don't realize about variegated plants is that variegation is an anomaly, and that anomaly can correct itself. And a lot of times variegated plants end up reverting to green. So that's why you will not catch me paying $200 for a goddamn pink princess plant. I'll just wait until they're available everywhere and take the chance then. So here's one of my Fiddly Fig baby cuttings. It was doing really good for a while, starting to look a little sadder with the bottom leaves, so I'm gonna maybe back off on the watering. I think I might be overwatering it just a little bit. It's hard because with these smaller pots, they dry out very quickly, so a lot of times you'll touch it and it'll really feel dry, but I'm noticing that that's not always necessarily the case. So just backing off on the watering a little bit. This is my Pylea Moieties, and everyone has one of these, and there's a reason, because it's adorable and awesome, and I love it. And it clearly also needs some water. Jeez, dramatic, guys. I haven't watered yet this morning, so. So over here we have another one of my holiday cactus cuttings. This did not come from Greenthummum. I actually ordered these from Witten Greenhouses on Etsy, and they were selling a 6-pack of different varieties of these. And I gotta tell you, I'm having a hard time getting them to thrive and be happy. They all were doing a lot worse, but you'll see as I take you through that there's a lot that started throwing out air roots, and I really couldn't figure out what it was that I was doing wrong. And I think I was actually underwatering them because they're in these small little pots and they're drying out very quickly. And I was sort of treating them more like a cactus than maybe I should have been, because they do tend to like more water than, you know, like a regular cactus. So these aren't actually cactuses, they're epiphytes. And the world famous watermelon Peperomia. I was definitely overwatering this for a little bit, so I have backed off and it is a little bit happier. I noticed that the backs of the leaves will really tell you when you're overwatering more than anything else. So I started sort of letting up on that a little bit, and it has definitely perked right back up. It's put out a ton of growth since I got it from the plant farm on Etsy. Again, I'll link my unboxing videos down below or in the eye or something if you haven't seen them and you're curious what they looked like when I very first got them. But as you can see, I did have to learn a couple lessons the hard way. So some of the old growth still does show a little bit of wear and tear, but right now they're coming out a lot happier. So I think we're doing all right. Here is one of my little philodendrons. This is a green philodendron. It puts out these amazing like neon green leaves when they first grow in. I love it. And this guy has always stayed consistently happier than its little neighbor here, my Prince of Orange. These were also Josh's Frogs acquisitions. I bought them from there. This one came with this leaf a little crispy at the brown. A little crispy at the brown. This one came with a brown tip when I got it just from the cold and shipping and stuff. So this leaf has just been gradually dying. I'm not really sure where to remove it, so that's why I haven't done it yet. But this guy just looks a little sad, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe it's getting too much sun over here. I'm not too sure. So if you know, you can let me know. This has become a tell me what I'm fucking up with my plants video. Whew, this is gonna be a long one. Okay, so now we have the mama plant of my Coleus, and as you can see, it has gotten crazy green, and it got so much sun. I had it up here, taken a sun beating, and then I've moved it a few times, and everywhere I move it, it just continues to get greener, and I kept trying to move it into more sun because I wanted the purple back, but that's just not happening, so I don't know. I think I've been misinformed about this Coleus, but either way, it's still pretty awesome. I mean, look at this thing. I repotted this probably, I would say in either December or January, and like, look at this. All of this stuff in the center is new. And these were the original vines that I had rooted, and they have just grown like crazy. So it's just spilling over the whole corner. These are such underrated houseplants. I think they're awesome. You do have to keep an eye on them for mealybugs, because the mealybugs like to hide in their fuzzy little leaves, and they like drought-stricken plants. And this plant is a very thirsty plant, like up there with a peace lily. So here's my main boat lily plant. This one was the one that I kept the biggest when I broke up the other plant, and I just think these are so cool. Like, they're just really fun. They have a whole bunch of wacky common names. It's like Moses in the Cradle and like oyster lily and boat lilies, like a bunch of them. They used to be called roeas. Roeas? I think I just broke that leaf. Fuck. That leaf is dead. They used to be called roeas, but I think they've been renamed since then. So I've got a couple more little rooted cuttings of my Fiddly Fig in here, which actually probably need, yeah, they need some more water. So here are a couple of my rescue orchids. I bought both of these from stores on clearance because the flowers had dropped and they were severely dehydrated. This one I just got, and I'm still working on completely rehydrating it, but it's doing pretty good, and it actually, this leaf has grown since I got it. And then this guy here I've had for probably 2 months now. When I got it, you could literally roll the leaves up, like just roll them all the way up. They were so dehydrated, and now they're a lot firmer. I think that I'm probably going to lose this leaf here eventually because it came, you know, looking a little rough on the end like that. It is putting out a new leaf here. It's coming in looking a little pink on the underside, which is normal, but also a little on the top, which is usually a sign of a bit of a deficiency. So I did fertilize it a little bit a while back. So we're gonna see how it goes. But the roots grew like crazy. I just repotted this, which you'll see in the video, and the roots had, I mean, just doubled in size since I rescued it. And you can see, you know, there's some growth coming in over here. This is growing, top is growing. So it's growing. So it cannot be that unhappy, right? I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the big one, and we'll see how it goes. And you'll see that in the video when I get that up.